and his blood was shed above the mercy seat.
And his blood, as it fell to the ground under where he was crucified, would go right down through the ground.
There's earthquake cracks there. There's no, somebody that I shared this with privately said, is there any blood stains on there? I couldn't tell, you know. I have taken photographs of things and go back and look at them after they're developed and see stuff that my eye didn't see to start with. So there may be.
Oh, okay, so you're talking that the blood actually went through cracks in the earth. I would not be at all surprised. Cracks in the rocks.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to Pearls of Eden. My name is Marilyn Acosta, and I'm so excited this Sunday to bring you a treat. Early on in my spiritual journey, walking with the Lord, there was a man the Lord led me to watch. His name is Ron Wyatt. Now, some of you may have heard of him, and some of you may not. But I hadn't watched the video where he discovers the Ark of the Covenant, what he believed was the Ark of the Covenant, in years. But all of a sudden, the Lord placed him in my spirit. So I decided to look him up and watch the video again. And there were so many things that the Lord highlighted to my spirit that I hadn't paid attention to before. Don't you love how the Lord does that? That's why it's so important that we remain teachable. We allow the Lord to speak to us and we obey, because there were so many things that the Lord showed me. Now, as we proceed with the video, he begins to talk about when he found and located the Ark of the Covenant. He said he located it January 6, 1984 at 2 p.m. And immediately, Holy Spirit alarms just went off in my spirit, because all season long, the Lord has been speaking of 222, the number of open doors. And when he located it at that time and date, I knew the Lord was speaking in a way that only he could. And you know, we're in a season where God is opening doors that no one can shut, you all. It was God leading Ron Wyatt to that Ark of the Covenant. It was God who opened that door for him. And not anyone could just walk through that door. You had to be anointed. You had to be called to walk through that door, because what he would discover would be something that God had prepared him to discover. Many people have tried to locate the Ark of the Covenant. Many people have tried to go into that cavern. And as Ron Wyatt says, and you can look these things up, many people have died trying to get close to the Ark of the Covenant. So it's quite fascinating, and I just wanted to share it with you all because there's so many jewels I picked up. He said that even as he took pictures of the location in the cave where he located what he believes to be the Ark of the Covenant, there were things that the camera picked up, you all, that he could not see with his natural eye. And that brought so much confirmation, because there are many times when Hey guys, sorry the camera cut off. I was trying to use my Canon R6, but the memory card was full, so it shut down. So I just went back to my cell phone. I'll be interested to see if you all can see a difference in the quality of the video from what was first posted. But yeah, it's amazing what the camera can pick up that you don't see with the natural eye. And I'm always fascinated when I'm doing videos. I can see different types of light. I can see even white things that appear like feathers, sometimes floating out of nowhere in the video or in the car or whatever. So like I said, it was quite confirmation, because I have studied that there are so many things that you can pick up on pictures that you don't necessarily see with the natural eye. But I say all that to say this video is quite fascinating, and I wanted to share it with my audience, because if the Lord brings me to something and he places it so strongly in my spirit, I know it's not just for me. So enjoy it on this Sunday, this historical walk, as you see what Ron Wyatt discovers on January 6, 1984 at 2 p.m. All right, guys, take a look.
This is in the chamber with the Ark of the Covenant. All right, we broke our way in through a hole. We went 60 feet underground. We came back up. On January 6th, 1982 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I broke into a chamber beneath the Calvary escarpment north of the city wall of Jerusalem. In that chamber is the Ark of the Covenant.
Markland.
And I'm Martha Markland.
And we're glad you joined us tonight. We've got a very interesting program lined up for you. Back, I guess it was, 2 weeks ago, Martha?
Yeah, exactly.
We had Ron Wyatt with us, and we talked about Noah's Ark. And just a few days after that, I saw in the Tennessean, of course, there was also an article in the Banner, too,
Yep.
about Ron and what he's been doing. Explorer Ron Wyatt, they call him in the Tennessean. And
We call him Indy around here.
Indiana Wyatt is what we call him. No. He'll get mad at us here. But anyway, Ron is here with us tonight, and we're going to be talking about the Ark. And he brought along a painting, too, you know, that he painted. Last time we talked about, we recapped pretty much his whole search for the Ark. And there's a picture right there that he painted, the Ark, Noah's Ark. And we're going to be talking about two arks tonight. You know, we're going to recap a little bit on Noah's Ark here. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But then we're also going to talk about the Ark of the Covenant, which is a completely different ark. There weren't two of each kind of animal in the Ark of the Covenant, but there was, you know, the power of God in that ark.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about that. He's got some very interesting things and some things that he's going to share tonight. It's going to be major worldwide news before too long.
And, you know, we're doing the format differently, too, because we're not going to have as many songs. We're only going to have a couple songs, so that we'll have plenty of room time to cover all this and talk about all these details.
Yes, Celeste Clydesdale will be singing in the program a couple of songs we know you'll be blessed with. But right now, let's welcome Ron Wyatt. Ron?
Hi, Ron.
Welcome back to Maranatha.
Gene, thanks. Good to be here again, Martha.
Hi.
I brought this article. I clipped it out of the Tennessean. I guess the last time you were here, you covered pretty much the material in here. But the article, let's see if we can get a shot of it, maybe on camera 2. Explorer plans new trip to get Noah's Ark. Here we go. Ray Waddell wrote that article. And then there was also an article in the Tennessean, and we've seen some things on the local news shows and so forth.
Yeah.
But the last few weeks, really.
Yeah, well, since he's been on the show, there's been a lot about it.
Well, you know, he's done a thing. It's going to be in 2020, I believe. What, next week? Or?
Next Thursday, if everything stays on schedule.
Thursday of the we'll just say the date is October the 10th. At different parts of the week when this airs, it might be the day before, the day of.
Yeah.
When they see this, but they're doing a program that's tentatively scheduled for there, and they're going to talk about your search. And was there anything that, in talking about, you know, how you found what got you interested in the Ark, Noah's Ark, and in your travels and research and everything, was there anything that we left off last time that you want to say about that?
I think we probably covered it pretty thoroughly, Gene. But again, the whole object behind this, I believe that God has preserved some attention getters from Old Testament times, and these will be brought out, and everybody's attention will be gotten. God does know how to accomplish His purpose. Not only that, He will accomplish it.
Yeah, this will be so dramatic that no one will be able to deny it.
Well, at the outset, everybody will be persuaded, but there's a phenomenon among human beings that if we don't like a certain truth, then our mind starts to rationalize that truth away and to water it down, and we can actually arrive at a point in time later by this rationalization process where we deny what we actually, were convinced of shortly before.
Yeah.
And according to the Bible, there will be a few saved, very similar to what happened at the time of the flood, but there are indications that there'll be more than 8, of course. But although everybody will be convinced at one point by these things and the stories that go with them, and I believe that God will reveal His power like He did through the disciples and the apostles, and it will be a little more noticeable as the power of God than restoring the sense of smell, perhaps, in some of these things that we watch these days. Although smell is important, I'm not downgrading that.
But I was going to say, some certain Christian people, they may say, well, I have faith in the Word of God. I don't need any physical evidence, and what good is this, you know? And what would you say to a person that says that?
Well, it's a lot easier to say when you're sitting in your house or in church than it is if somebody has a gun pointed at the end of your nose and you know that if you say, yes, I believe in Christ or whatever, they're going to pull the trigger. It takes just a little more faith under that circumstance, and only God really knows how much faith each individual needs. People crack under different amounts of stress. Like, for example, in the interrogations during Second World War, the Korean conflict, in Vietnam, some people cracked under this pressure. They didn't have the tolerance, and other people could tolerate splinters driven under their fingernails and just all kinds of hideous things and just maintain their silence. But we don't know that, you know, and so, but God does. And so if we say, Lord, fit me for what's ahead and what you want to use me for, He'll get the job done. It may not be real pleasant, but He will get the job done.
Well, there are places in the world right now where people have to, are you know, asked to deny their faith, and through great adversity, they suffer for the name of Christ, even right now.
Right, and say, for example, in Iran, if you are not a Muslim, or if you're a minority Muslim sect or something, they'll kill you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, they try to exterminate the Baha'is.
They're different sects. We read about that in the paper all the time.
Right, and so Christians are so-called, not necessarily Christians, but people that claim to be disciples or followers of God, do the most hideous things to their fellow man that can be imaginable, much worse than somebody who doesn't claim to be a Christian. And by the way, Hitler claimed to be a Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not too many people know that. But
well, the Jewish people know that.
Yes.
The Jewish people tell you that. You know, that's one of the big, you know, that drove a big wall between a lot of
that could really be a turnoff, couldn't it?
Jewish people and the Christian people.
Well, isn't that really the reason you got into exploring and finding relics and things like that? Because you wanted tangible things that people could have faith in and know that God's Word was true.
Right. You look out in the world today, we have a good life, basically. None of us here have missed too many meals. I haven't. And, you know, and we have it good. But in this earth, there are people that are starving to death, and you fly plane loads of food in there to feed these people. The government or the mayor or somebody gets all of this up, carts it off and sells it to somebody and sticks the money in his pocket. And so the money that's collected to actually help these people, very little real help gets to these people.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about that, it not getting to them, and Christian missionaries' trucks being blown up and different things. But you know, when you look at all of that, you know, you see the world is in a traumatic state, and I guess we're going to come to the point where it's going to take something like this to make the everyday, I guess, agnostic, so to speak, person that's not of faith, to shake them to say, hey, there is a God. I want to know about this. You know, and some of these things are going to happen. Now, Noah's Ark that we've been talking about the last few shows, and which will be a subject of you know, 2020 coming up and so forth. I mean, that seems to me to be, I mean, that goes right back to the beginning of the Bible, and that's the basis of a lot of our beliefs. I mean, that right there, you know, if that is proven to be, you know, Noah's Ark, the one ark, well then from that on, that's the thing that, you know, how could someone deny that? I know some people will, but I know it'll strengthen a lot of people's faith. That's
right. With this and the chariots in the Red Sea, the giants, remains of giants, the real Mount Sinai with the altar that Moses set up, the 12 pillars of stone, the Ark of the Covenant, all of these things, they're going to be hard put to look the other way from all of this.
Now, let me ask you something. You just said a mouthful there. You know, Noah's Ark, chariots in the Red Sea that proved that the Red Sea was parted and the Egyptians were killed. And you talked about the place where they worshipped in the wilderness, the stones, the 12 stones.
That place, it has fallen down. Some of the stones have fallen down, but that altar is sitting there. I mean, just in perfect position. And the 12 pillars of stone are sitting there.
And the Ark of the Covenant, all these things. Now, why is it someone might be saying now, how does he know all this? What is it that has enabled you to be the person who is involved in all these different projects? It seems to me just one of them would be the find of a lifetime.
Yeah, when I started the Noah's Ark, that was the end of my imagination and aspirations. But I began to, like I said a minute ago, something needs to be done here. And I pray to God every day. I say, Lord, please make a quick end to what Satan is doing to your creatures on this planet. And this was the burden that I took to the Lord and asked him, what is there that I could do that will be effective? And I was impressed to go look for Noah's Ark, but I was impressed to get the story straight first. Nobody is going to get these things out without the story is straight. God didn't preserve them to have somebody come along and grab it out and tell the wrong story. That is not going to happen. And so as to why I've gotten to do this, I must have been the only one that volunteered, because probably I'm the least qualified person that you could think of. And he does say that he'll use the simple to confound the wise. Now, I'm hoping that the term simple there means uneducated in the sciences, but it may just mean simple in the full sense of the word.
Now, you at the beginning, and I guess even now, you finance your own trips. The whole thing is something that you do on your own.
We've had some help. This last trip, some people out in California, a lawyer out there, Tom Anderson, he put a bundle of money in, and rendered a service that was just fantastic. Now, I spent some money on the trip too, of course. I pay my way pretty much. So I'm not obligated to people.
Right. Well, I know you always have. You've always paid your way over there.
Yeah, but this is actually the first time we've had some real financial aid. Before that, it's been out of my pocket. I don't know if you've ever had this kind of a nightmare or a dream where there's something after you and you're trying to run and get away, and you're slow motion. You just cannot get up enough speed to get out of the situation.
I think everybody's had that one time or another.
This is the way these projects have seemed to me. But if you look back, I've just been working on these actively. I've studied on some of this stuff for longer, but since 1977. And I have been to Noah's Ark several times. We have seen and filmed the chariot parts in the Red Sea. We have seen and filmed the real Mount Sinai. We have built working models of the machines that built the pyramid, put them up on the pyramid and demonstrated how they work. We have taken pictures through a hole into a cave where there's remains of giants. And we've been in the chamber with the Ark of the Covenant, all of that in that length of time. So, when I think of it from that point of view, it's ridiculous to feel that I'm marking time or I'm going slow motion. But still yet, I'm just so anxious to get all of this out, so people can...
Is it up against it?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 feet to 18 inches thick. So you're looking at 10 tons if you figure this like you would wet cement. This is a massive stone, and it's a material that does not occur in that area otherwise. All right, now the thought, we're told that Christ is our anchor within the veil. Now, I was doing some experimenting with a model of Noah's Ark, and this painting that we did shows the anchors in place, some of them. But the little model would just swirl around in the eddies of the water, and it would turn sideways in the waves, and just, it was really a rough trip. But these anchors stabilized it. All right, we have a mediator with God that is right in front of God, sitting on the throne with him, and he cares about us, identifies with our problems and everything. And so instead of being cast about by every wind of strife, as the Bible, says, if we follow Christ, if we stick close to him, our voyage through this life will be much smoother. And so what we're going to see tonight, Gene and Martha, are some slides that we took working on the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I believe that that will be the last of these big things that God has reserved to get people's attention. I think this will be the last thing that's brought out before probation is closed. And Christ says, he that is filthy, let him be filthy still, and he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me.
Yeah.
But we will share this tonight. We're not going to tell anybody exactly where it is. Now, they say that you should tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, okay? Tonight, we're going to go for 2 out of the 3. We're not going to tell the whole truth, because I believe that, I'm positive that this ark is guarded by God's angels. Mm-hmm. And if somebody goes in there and in an unauthorized method attempts to steal this ark, there were 50,000 people killed by bothering this ark in a way they were not supposed to.
When you talk about the whole truth, of course, what you mean is we're not going to give the exact, precise location.
That's right. What I say is true, but I'm not going to tell you, exactly which chamber this is in tonight.
Well, before we get into the slides, actually, let's give a little background on the ark itself. What was the ark used for?
All right. God wrote the law on 2 tables of stone.
10 Commandments, we know.
Right. The 10 Commandments with his own finger. All right. He heard the Israelites down there worshiping the golden calf. So he sent Moses down and says, your people have. It's like when a kid misbehaves, they become the other parent's kid all of a sudden. But he went down, and out of anger at their rebellion against God, and so quickly after he had divided the sea and all this, to worship these idols, he threw this stone down, these stones, and broke it. All right, so God said, bring another set up, and I'll write those on there again. All right, he instructed Moses to build a box of shittim wood, a real hard wood that's available in the desert out there, 4.5 feet long, 2.5 feet high, and 2.5 feet thick, and line it with gold inside and out, overlay it.
Overlay with gold.
Right, and set a mercy seat on top of it. This was a massive chunk of gold that was molded, and it had cherubims on it representing the throne of God.
Cherubims, they sort of look like angels, I guess, right?
Yes, they are angels, that's right, with the 2 wings. The seraphim have 6, but that's another discussion.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, this law on these tables of stone was kept in there, and then later Aaron's pot of rod that budded, when they were trying to kick him out as high priest and get the job themselves, Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And then the golden pot of manna. But those are not in there anymore. The only thing that is in the ark at this time is the tables of stone. The other 2 are not there.
Okay, now, I was curious about one thing. If the wood was overlaid with gold, what would be left of it now? Would the wood have rotted away and just be a gold shell, or would the wood sustain
decay?
3,000-4,000 years? How long has this been?
It was about 1450 BC.
So about 3,600 years
ago.
Yeah,
3,600 years. Probably, you need oxygen for something to deteriorate away, and it may be in a remarkable state of preservation.
Okay.
It depends on other factors, but it could be in good shape.
So when they put all these artifacts in there, in the ark, it was carried. Now, I remember that from Sunday school. Everybody knows that. It was carried ahead of the army of Israel when they went to battle against insurmountable odds, like 100 to 1, some of these battles, and they had this ark, and literally the power of God came out of this ark and slew the other armies. And
there was a fear of God also that made them kill each other. Like when the Midianites, during the time of Hezekiah, these people killed each other. God terrified them. And so...
when other people had the ark.
But Hophni and Phinehas, the sons of Eli, they were such sinners that when they carried this ark out into battle, God allowed them to be killed by the Philistines and the ark to be captured. So it's not a magic box as such.
Right. It's a tool that God uses.
He uses it. But if we don't have our connection with God, then He doesn't
use
it for our good.
Yeah.
Right now we're back with Ron Wyatt. Now, Ron, before we went to that song, we were talking about the Ark of the Covenant. We described basically what the Ark of the Covenant was, and there's a lot more to the Ark of the Covenant. We just sort of touched on a little bit of the history of the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
But basically, it right now has the 10 Commandments in it that God Himself wrote in stone the second time.
That's correct.
Now, let me ask you this before we start showing the slides. What got you interested in looking for the Ark of the Covenant?
Well, I had a very unusual experience, and in these slides here we'll get to the thing that I walked past, and my mouth said to me and the owner of the property, that is Jeremiah's grotto, and the Ark of the Covenant is in there. That's the first I mean, my mind didn't tell my mouth to say that. I know that sounds weird, but that's what happened.
Well,
and the guy immediately said, well, we will give you permission to excavate. You know, and that was when I decided to do it.
Okay, this is in Jerusalem?
This is outside the wall of Jerusalem, yes.
Okay, now what was Jeremiah's grotto?
Well, Jeremiah's grotto was a place that he lived, a little cavern-like place or a cave dwelling, and he lived in there, more or less so he could be alone with God. And, you know, like today, if you want to do some real good, serious thinking, leave your ghetto blaster someplace else, because it is impossible to do any good constructive thinking with this music or noise that's booming in your ears. Right.
And this place is in existence today, the cave where Jeremiah...
the Ark of the Covenant is in it.
Now, it's not recognized as Jeremiah's grotto.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, it's...
Okay, that's what I was getting at. I was just imagining tour buses going by and Israeli guides saying, "Oh, that's Jeremiah's grotto," but you just figured that's what it was. Now, in relation to the city, the old city of Jerusalem, with the wall, the Wailing Wall is still there, but the wall.
All right, it's on the north side.
On the north side. How far?
Well, people that are familiar with the Calvary Scarp, it's in that scarp. Okay?
So it's in Mount Calvary then.
You got it. Yes.
So basically, then where Jesus was crucified.
That's right.
The Ark of the Covenant is there. Is there.
Right. And like we mentioned just a minute ago, there's a story that goes with each thing. And this one with the Ark of the Covenant, I mean, every time I discuss it, I get goose flesh. I mean, it is just a real mind-boggler. Now, what I'd like to do here is go through the first few of these slides, and we'll just kind of comment as they go through them slowly.
Okay.
This is a tomb here cut out in the face of the Calvary Scarp.
I see.
All right, now then, there's two references in the Bible that say the stone that blocked the door on that was a very great stone. We had the privilege of finding the 1.5-inch iron shaft that the Roman soldiers drove in on the left side of that massive stone. It was rolled in the trough so it couldn't fall out this way. It hit up against a catch flange so it couldn't be rolled to the right. They drove this in. I guess they chiseled out a hole first and then pounded this thing in so it couldn't be rolled anywhere. All right. Herod said, make it as fast as you can, and they did it. But when Gabriel came down to open that grave, he just sheared that thing off. And that iron shaft is right in the wall of that sepulcher, the outside wall there.
So that's the sepulcher where Jesus was buried and raised.
That's right. 13 feet 2 inches that grave, that stone was in diameter. I have seen nothing even close to that. Pilate's, or rather Herod, King Herod's, his was something like 5 feet in diameter. So when it says it was a great or a very great stone, it wasn't exaggerating.
Is this stone still there?
No, this somebody thought that would be a very handy quarry, and so they busted it up like a lot of other things and put it.
But the track is still there.
The track is there, and the catch flange is there, and the iron bar is there. It's sheared off flush, and the people that have been there for years and years and years had never noticed that. And we were fortunate enough to have that call to our attention. And this is not a brag, Gene and Martha. It's not. I am thrilled beyond anything I could possibly convey to anybody to be working with these things. All right. And so to see that was just a thrill.
Real blessing.
In all of these things. I mean,
you just pointed it out to them.
Chill bumps. I mean, really.
You pointed it out to the villagers, the people who live there.
I pointed it out to the people that work there. This is in the garden tomb, by the way, and they were just thrilled to death with it, some of them. Others were a little afraid because there's a competition between.
All right, so I hope that you all enjoyed that video clip. I'm gonna leave the full video in the description box, so if you want to check out the whole thing, it's quite fascinating. Again, you all, thank you so much for your support, for your love, for your encouragement, for all of you that take the time to comment, for all of you that take the time to send emails. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Did y'all see that? I told you the camera catches a lot of things, you all, that you don't normally see with the naked eye. But I will definitely get with you all hopefully this week. I'm going to try to upload that teaching about Jeremiah 24. So y'all be looking for that. But until then, you all stay blessed, walk in the light, and I love you. I love you to life. Bye. See you next time.